Hello YouTubers, my name is Frederick Lopez, and recently I went over my favorite werewolf and vampire films in honor of Underworld Blood Wars. Upon revisiting those, I decided to revisit my favorite zombie films in honor of Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. So I went through, and in this video I'm going to present my personal favorite zombie films. To start off the list is an animated feature called Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Yes, I know what you're thinking, it's Scooby-Doo, but this is a very, very well done animated feature, and it is also one of the better Scooby-Doo films. The story pretty much involves the usual gang of the Mystery Machine, and they've been apart for a while. Scooby-Doo the series happened in the 60s, and after that they went their separate ways. This is more of a reunion. They got tired of finding people in masks, no real monsters, and now they have a chance to find real monsters in Louisiana, and it turns out that there's zombies on this island. And it is a fun movie with a great soundtrack, great voices, one of the better animated features from Warner Brothers that came out on VHS in the late 90s. I love the song It's Terror Time Again by Sky Cycle. Should be in a regular zombie movie. But ultimately what makes it good, besides being zombies, is the fact that this is the only Scooby-Doo with real monsters where they're not people under a mask. And that makes it very unique, and also it's very hard to be exciting yet somewhat scary at times in an animated feature for kids, and this is one of the better made zombie films. I mean, it's not gory, it's not to the point where you can't watch it, but it just has a certain atmosphere to it that is missing from live action zombie films, and I respect Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island for that. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is not only one of the best Scooby-Doo animated features, but one of my favorite zombie films as well. Next, on my number 10 spot is Grindhouse: Planet Terror. Now, Grindhouse was a double feature of two films directed by Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino. Robert Rodriguez did Planet Terror, where Quentin Tarantino did Death Proof. But Planet Terror by Robert Rodriguez is another zombie film of mine that's a favorite. It's pretty much almost a little bit like Resident Evil, where a virus gets out and turns people into these like zombie beings, and it's just out there and just crazy, but it's a very well kind of grindhouse exploitative film. In a way, it's much like From Dusk Till Dawn, but with zombies. I mean, it's from the same director, and I like it. It has a lot of action and a lot of B-movie elements, but in a fun, good way, not in a bad way. And Grindhouse is all around just a fun, gory film in a B-movie type of way, and I like it for that. Pretty much Grindhouse has Freddy Rodriguez, Bruce Willis, Rose McGowan, Josh Brolin, among many others. Number 9 is a little bit more of an obscure film for a zombie film called The Serpent and the Rainbow, directed by Wes Craven. Bill Pullman is the star of the film, and it involves him going to Haiti and discovering these medical kind of like voodoo experiments and rituals cause people to turn into zombies. It's a very, very creepy yet frightening film, and it's among one of the different zombie films. It's not caused by a virus, it's not caused by just death. I mean, it's just voodoo, and that stuff is like real and scary, and Serpent and the Rainbow is a very interesting and yet creepy zombie film, and it's done in a non-traditional way as well, so it makes it a very different zombie film, but it does prove to be scary and among one of the best and probably, in my opinion, most underrated zombie films ever made, and one of the most underrated Wes Craven films. Number 8 on my list is a film I did not think I would like that much, and I like the novel a lot better, but it's World War Z. If you have a chance to check it out, I would highly check the unrated version. I thought I was watching the PG-13 and I saw the unrated version, but I love the unrated version of World War Z. Yes, it's PG-13. Yes, some elements are like the film I Am Legend, but it's a very action-packed film, and it's nice seeing a zombie film on that type of scale. You've always seen like the George A. Romero films and stuff in Resident Evil with like people becoming like millions and millions of zombies, but this is just on the global level, and you really haven't seen a movie where it shows the impact of a zombie apocalypse on a global scale. And this is very interesting in that regard, and also Brad Pitt does a fantastic job as a main character. Yeah, for being all CGI, it's not too bad. I didn't think it was going to be as good. Of course, it doesn't have the charm and effect as practical zombie effects, but it's still among one of my favorite zombie films. Number 7 is another different kind of zombie film called Warm Bodies. Yeah, it has Nicholas Hoult, John Malkovich, and Teresa Palmer, and it's one of my favorite not only love stories but zombie films. Pretty much it involves a zombie falling in love with a human, and the world has become zombies, and in a way it's happened because people forgot how to love. And not only is it an interesting story for a zombie film, but it has a good message and a good moral to it. Zombie films, that's one thing about horror genre films and zombie films, is that even though they're flesh-eating creatures, there's so much political statements and just all-around messages for life inside a zombie film. It's something that's undead. There's so much life. And Warm Bodies is another one of those where it's a very original tale, and I love it. It has a good soundtrack, Nicholas Holt's performance, and then the theme of love and why it's so important as a human being, and something that makes us very much, in fact, human. Very, very original tale, and if you haven't seen Warm Bodies, I would highly go check it out. It's a really great film. It'd be good around Valentine's Day as well. Number 6 on my list is a zombie comedy. It's Zombieland. I love Zombieland. It has Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin, what's his name? Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, and Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson is hysterical in this film. Bill Murray has a cameo. All around, very few films can be funny, yet have some dramatic points as well, and just some deep character moments. And Woody Harrelson's Tallahassee has some of those moments where sure he's funny, sure he's crazy, he kicks ass, but there's a certain amount of tragedy and his backstory you discover. And Jesse Eisenberg's great as the main character. His escapades with Woody Harrelson's Tallahassee, how Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin keep getting in their way. Just all around a great cast. And it's funny seeing just normal people and like almost a realistic yet funny approach to a zombie apocalypse, to how people would act. It does it in almost a comedic way, much like Shaun of the Dead. And Zombieland is a really, really great film. It's no wonder that they're making a sequel right now and that Amazon tried to cash in on a TV series. Zombieland is definitely one of my favorite zombie films and definitely one of my favorite comedies of recent memory. If you haven't checked it out, I'd highly recommend it. Number 5 on my list is the first Resident Evil film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. George A. Romero was originally going to direct this, but then you had the director of Mortal Kombat do it, and this is probably his best film besides that and Event Horizon. And Resident Evil, what I like about it, it's a little bit low budget, but it came out when there wasn't really many zombie films. In a way, it almost revitalized the zombie films again in the millennium. There wasn't very much, and it was a genre that was, no pun intended, kind of dead. And this kind of brought it back, and now of course it's based on the much superior video game Resident Evil, or in Japan known as Biohazard. But the first film I really like. The sequels are enjoyable in their own way, but the first film managed to retain the horror elements that the video game had. It introduced a new character called Alice, played by Mila Jovovich. Michelle Rodriguez is also in it, Eric Mabius, and as well as Jason Isaacs. But like, it's just a small movie. It involves them going underground into this hive, and then this facility has zombies, and they have to basically work their way out of the facility again, fighting zombies. There's zombie dogs, there's like these liquor creatures from the games, regular zombies. It's just all around freaky in that way. It's not to the point of being like really scary like Night of the Living Dead or anything, but it does bring just the danger of zombies. It has a T-virus. A T-virus pretty much reanimated dead cells and turned them into zombie beings. So if you're bitten, you're screwed. You become a zombie. You either have to kill yourself or just get turned. That's a very interesting thing, especially with a team film. There's a team that's in the film, and you just see them getting taken off one by one and going through different obstacles until there's only a few survivors left. And that works for such a small environment. And what I like most about Resident Evil, besides the elements I just mentioned, is the fact that it is a low-budget film, and something about the just grounded reality and just low budget works much better than the more expensive sequels it had that just kind of went too crazy. It still felt like it was grounded in the first one. It's among one of my favorite zombie films, and also combines the action genre, much like Underworld with vampires and action. This is zombies in action. So yeah, if you're a fan of the video games, lower your expectations a bit, but go see Resident Evil. It's one of the better made video game films. First one's good. Number 4 on my list is the zombie comedy that in a way started it all, with Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is amazing. Simon Pegg's great, the acting, but not only that, it plays upon the tropes of the zombie genre and just turns it on its head. If you're somehow my age, if you're somehow over 20 and you've never seen Shaun of the Dead, where the hell have you been? Shaun of the Dead is a classic film and one of the best films of the 21st century and one of the best comedies. I mean, it is fantastic. One of my favorite moments is when there's zombies there and they have to like just go through their vinyl record collection and like throw it at a zombie, and they're like, oh look, it's a Batman soundtrack, and they throw it at it. I just love it. But all around, it's a regular guy named Shaun, and you get to see just regular people, kind of like Zombieland, just regular people put into a zombie film. And it's brilliant because it just plays upon all the tropes. They're slow-moving zombies and make fun of that. It just plays with all the genre cliches, and I just love it for that. And not only that, it's very gory, so it stays true to the zombies genre, yet is a comedy that makes fun of it. And that's the best, is when you can be serious yet funny at the same time. So if you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, definitely check it out. It's among one of my favorite comedies and zombie films, along with Zombieland. Number 3 on my list is Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. I love this film. Also very early use of digital film, and like Cillian Murphy's in it. He wakes up from a coma and he's in a zombie apocalypse, but it's just such a visceral and just gritty film in like a good way. It's almost like if Blair Witch was made without being a documentary. It just has that low budget feel, but because of that, it feels very real and almost like you have an experience that you're participating in the 28 Days Later. And it's one of my favorite modern zombie films. Definitely another one of those zombie films in the 21st century that really was a game changer. And it had a sequel called 28 Weeks Later, but I love 28 Days Later. It is a great film and a classic. And if you haven't seen 28 Days Later and you're a zombie fan, definitely check it out. You will not regret it. And I just love the way it's shot and everything. It's one of those rare films you find. Number 2 on my list, I love George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. And I also like Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead, but I'll get to why I love Dawn of the Dead by George A. Romero. It's a comment on society. I mean, like with the malls, the way people are with shopping and materialism, and it's put into a zombie film. Not only that, it has some great special effects. Oh my gosh, among one of the best zombie effects. Everything that was done in Night of the Living Dead was improved upon in Dawn of the Dead, and George A. Romero proved that he is a master, and it's no wonder it was remade by Zack Snyder. That's one thing George A. Romero did, is he pretty much got everything he did in Night of the Living Dead. And what do you do in a sequel? Well, you kind of do the same thing, but you just elevate it and do something different. And he did something completely different with Dawn of the Dead that makes it unique as a film, and also, like many great horror films, has a social commentary hidden within the film. It's just fantastic. And then Zack Snyder's remake, I really love the zombies running fast, and he did something very different. It wasn't, as I would say, it didn't have the social commentary as deep as George A. Romero's, and it wasn't as complex, but it was done in a different way. You can't replicate what George A. Romero did, and I like the remake for just kind of being its own thing. So I really am a fan of both the original Dawn of the Dead and the remake. Both are great films in their own right, but if you haven't seen any of them, I would highly recommend checking out the original by George A. Romero, among the best. And that brings me to number 1 on my list, another film by George A. Romero. And the reason why I have this as number 1, I love the film. There's other films that have better effects, other George A. Romero films that have topped this, but really without this film, you would not have the zombies, there wouldn't be any Resident Evil, just at least in the way we know it today for the zombie genre, and that is George A. Romero's film, The Night of the Living Dead. I love this film. It's black and white, it's creepy, it's like they're coming to get you at the beginning. Just everything setting up. It has a slow start, and then just out of nowhere, zombies arrive. They're slow-moving zombies, but the way it's filmed is not done in a boring and just kind of eye-rolling way. Maybe it's because it's the original, but it's just a creepy, eerie film. It's like if you were having a normal day and suddenly the world was beginning to end out of a normal day. And what would you do? What would you do if you were in a house with complete strangers having to fight hordes of zombies? Great stuff. Has an African-American lead, which is very, very, very interesting and just way ahead of its time, especially for the time it was made. And that ending is so shocking. For those who haven't seen it, I'm not going to get to spoilers, but again, makes very great social commentary within the bounds of a horror film, and much of that is actually still relevant to this day. And yeah, you just can't beat an original, can't beat a classic, and Night of the Living Dead is among one of my favorite zombie films. It is just a rule setter. It defined the rules of what a zombie film should be. And without Night of the Living Dead, you would not have any of the movies I mentioned on my list, none of the video games, just anything. It really defined what zombies are. There wouldn't be a Walking Dead TV show without Night of the Living Dead, and I love it. George A. Romero really made something special with the Living Dead series, and Night of the Living Dead is my favorite zombie film. Anyway, that does it for my list. I know I went through these really, really, really fast, but I just wanted to get through this video pretty quick, and it'd be short so I wouldn't spend 37 minutes talking in front of the camera like I did in my vampires video. But let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite zombie films? Were there any films I mentioned that you liked? Any films you thought should have been on the list? What is your favorite moments from your favorite zombie films? Just anything. And what is your favorite zombie film? Yeah, just feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, check out my other videos on the channel, and I hope you have a good day. I just wanted to do this quick video, but yeah, sounds good. I think I'm going to listen to It's Terror Time again by Sky Psycho from the Scooby on Zombie Island soundtrack. Maybe do that and play a little bit of Resident Evil 4. Sounds good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.